And there we are. That music, of course, means that it is time. Yes, it is time for my Sunday sermon. Now, the leadership election. Well, I was quite surprised the other day to see that I was at the odds with a well-known bookmaker of 100 to 1. I thought that's interesting. Amusingly, I was on air with Piers Morgan at the time, and he was fuming that he was even further out in the odds at 250 to 1. He felt he had more qualities to be leader. There is a technical problem, of course, which is that I'm not actually I'm not a Conservative, I'm a Reformer, and I'm not actually an MP. So it may have escaped the bookies' notice, but a friend of mine did very sweetly actually put £1 on and send me the betting slip, just for historical purposes. So I thought, well, what's my dream manifesto for the next leader? And that's what I want you to call in later with. You know, to give us a call, or tweet us, or text 87222 with what's on your manifesto. And mine is very clear. I want to make Britain great by doing Brexit properly. And there are 3 ways to do that. Firstly, we've got to put more money in your pocket. Not in the pockets of civil servants or back in the Treasury. More money in your pocket. So I would be cutting taxes hard on things like fuel duty, cutting VAT on energy bills, cutting all of the environmental levies. Because what that does, and reducing general VAT, because if you do that, then you reduce the price of consumer goods, which puts more money in your pocket, but at the same time, it actually reduces inflation because it reduces the price of goods, and therefore it changes the direction of travel. And lower taxes creates more growth, that creates higher wages, more jobs, and therefore more tax revenues in the medium term. I think we're just beginning to get the signs of a proper debate amongst the Conservative leadership candidates about this, although for some reason that completely escapes me, sort of the leading candidate, Rishi Sunak, is saying there's no place for tax cuts in his campaign. And he claims to be the serious candidate. Really? Is that serious? I wonder. Also, the other way of putting more money in your pocket is to cut all the wasteful spending that goes on. The second thing I'd do is scrap Westminster's obsession with net zero. And there's one candidate out of the 9 who's already talking about the drawbacks of net zero, and that is Kemi Badenoch, one to be watched. Instead, we need to be completely self-reliant on energy. And then we'd have much cheaper energy. And the way to do that, of course, and this is the best way to level up, is to unleash the treasure of shale gas under our feet. I know I've banged on about it before, but I'll say it again. You can have £1 trillion of levelling up by drilling down. Just think about that. You don't need a minister of levelling up to work out what it means. That's what it means. So that's the second thing I would do. And the third thing is I would make it clear, and no one's doing this at the moment, that we need to manage and run our country much better. We need to transform the way our public services are delivered faster, better, quicker. For us, who, by the way, we're the customer. We actually pay the bills. And, for example, the civil service. I know this sounds a bit ridiculous, but the only person who talked about reforming the civil service was the one and only Dominic Cummings. Should he come back to sort the civil service out? I'd also change critical things, like the House of Lords. More of that later. Be interesting to look at Boris's dissolution honours list. As I say, more of that later. We need to change the electoral system. We need to change the postal voting system. These are the key things to make our country be run, managed and governed better. And that's what I want your calls on, to let us know what's on your wish list. What do you want? Do you think Sunak's right? Do you think you've got to wait for tax changes? Do you think you've got to leave them at the current levels? Or do you want even more money invested in public services? Do you think they should be raising taxes? These are all the things that are going to be talked about. At least we're now having a debate. Because before, there was no debate at all. Under Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak, there was really no proper debate about the extent of tax cuts. And all of a sudden, that is now the big, big topic. But I want them to look further than that. I want them to look at net zero. I want them to look at the way we run and manage our country. There's so much opportunity. There's so much we can do better and better. There really is. But it requires courage. It requires leadership. And I want to hear from you who you think is the person to provide that courage, that determination, that leadership. Is it one of the cabinet members? Or is it someone from outside? Is it the likes of Tom Tugendhat or Penny Mordaunt or Kemi Badenoch? You know the number. Give us a call. So to finish, I'll say again, let's make Britain great. Let's do Brexit properly. Let's cut taxes. Let's scrap the absurd net zero obsession. And let's run this great country much, much better. That is the conclusion of this week's Sunday Sermon.